Who are some breakout candidates on this year's football team? Guys that were on the roster last year that I'm really excited to see this season. Plus, stock up, stock down. Let's go, Locked On Badgers.
You are Locked On Badgers, your daily podcast on the Wisconsin Badgers. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is going on, Badger fans? Welcome to Locked On Badgers. Thank you so much for tuning in. As always, I really appreciate y'all. The goal of the show is always just to make it more enjoyable to be a Badgers fan, to help build a community around the show. And for that, for everyone joining, for everyone in the comments, for everyone who watches, thank you. Thank you for helping build this community and make it just more enjoyable to be a Badgers fan. Today's episode is brought to you by our good friends over at FanDuel. Make every moment more. Right now, new customers, join today and you'll get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet if your first bet of $5 or more wins. Visit FanDuel.com/lockedon to get started. Herb Herman says, excited for the show. What's up, Herb? So one of the things I wanted to talk about is some of the breakout players that I think that were on the roster last year. And it's funny. Trech is in the chat. Trech is actually number one on my list right here. So players, and put it in the comments, your breakout players for this year that were on the roster last year but didn't have a huge role. Guys that you think are going to break out this season. It's fun. Yeah, I got Trech number one on this list. I also apologize for not getting this show up this morning. I was traveling. I was on the road, so it took a little bit to get there. But let's just bust it out. Let's do our breakout players for this year. I've got 7 guys on my list that I think are going to break out this season. Guys that were on the roster last year. And I think they're going to explode potentially. And I can't wait to see it. So, and the reason I want to do this is we get so excited. I think it's a human thing. We get so excited for the new stuff, the next chapter, what's coming next, like the next recruit, the next transfer. We kind of sometimes forget about the pieces that are still in the cupboard, right? And there's some legit dudes on this roster that played last year. They got a little bit of time, but didn't quite get there, right? For whatever reason. And that's what this list is. So let's just start at number 1 because Trech is in here. I was going to go in reverse order from 7 to 1. I got 7 dudes listed, but because Trech is in here, we're just going to start at number 1. Trech says, let's go. He also says, appreciate the last video about me. I'm going to get that 40-plus catches. So we have a little over-under on Trech Kekahuna on this show. Justin thinks Trech is going to get over 40. I took the under, and now I feel bad because he's in the chat. All I'm saying is I think there's a lot of mouths to feed on this offense. I think 40 catches is a lot, but listen, nothing would make me happier than to see Trech blast through that. Like and this isn't just because Trech is here. We loved the film when he committed. We were sad when he decommitted, thrilled when he came back. So this has always been a big Trech show. And if you can get over 40, that'd be incredible. All right, so let's just start there. Number 1 on my list, I have Trech Kekahuna, right? For all the reasons we talked about, I think athletically, he just brings something different. Trech, if you're in the chat, man, just let me know why you think you're the bust out player of this year. But I really think that athletically he brings something different to the team. He can play in the slot, but he's got more size. I think in one-on-one matchups in space, Trech is a nightmare. And I think he gives more versatility to the offense, right? You can use him in motion. You can get him isolated on defenders that just have no chance in space. Him and Pauling can play off each other really well. So I think I got him number 1. Let's go to number 2, Chez Mellusi. I keep pushing back on this narrative. I think people, I don't know, like I'm a big Chez guy for a couple reasons. First of all, like I don't think he's injury prone. I've talked about it before. Sometimes there's just bad luck in football, and some of the injuries that he does, some of the injuries that he's had, it's just bad luck. Like if you get rolled up on, you get rolled up on. I think in this offense, I think we saw flashes of it last year. Chez Mellusi is going to be a problem. Like Chez is going to be a problem, and I cannot wait to see a healthy version of Chez, the feature back. I think he could break out this year from what people think he's going to do. So Chez is number 2 on my list there. Number 3, and again, put your breakout players in the comments as well. People who you think are going to break out this year. Who do you think it's going to be? Number 3, I have Nizer Forkran. I think here's a guy that was a Division II All-American, right? Started the last 5 of the last 6 games last year. He's a 6'1" redshirt senior. He's a man. This is a total dude at the Division II level, and I think it takes a minute to get your footing at the Division I level, right? You don't just transfer and immediately find that, but he's a 6'1" guy who Talking to Brady Collins, like there's been big jumps there. They love Nizer Forkern in the room. I think he got experience down the stretch. He started to show what he was going to do. And I think there's a lot to like there. So I think Nizer Forkern could potentially break out this year. At number 4, I have Quincy Burrows, 6'2", 6'1", big bodied, another receiver in that receiver room. He's a guy who, I talk about this before with Will Pauling. Players that the staff gets to transfer with them, like Burrows was a Cincinnati guy, right? So the staff was able to bring him with him. That means they really like those guys. The Renfros, the Paulings, the Burrows, the Amari Snowdens, guys that they recruited and got to Cincinnati that they brought over to Wisconsin. Those are players they really like. Tyler Streeter has Allegro. I think he can flash this year. Yeah. Christian Allegro could be really, really good. Athletic, fast. By the way, Trech says we're going to win 10 games for sure. Man, I'm all about that. So number 4, I have Quincy Burrows. I think he has size, physicality. I think the role for Burrows this year might be, he might be the guy who doesn't catch a lot of like volume. It might not be 30, 40 receptions, but there could be a play or two in a game where Burrows just stretches the play, right? Has a 40, 50-yard pass. Because I think he has that type of vertical speed. I'm really excited to see Quincy Burrows with another year. Number 5 is Jake Chaney. I love Jake Chaney. I think he's a guy who last year people complained about the linebackers. Obviously, we brought in a lot of athletes this season. And everyone has kind of written off Jake Chaney. I thought Jake Chaney was more athletic than people gave him credit for last year. I think he's a leader. He's a coach's kid. I like what he's done this offseason. Again, talking to Brady Collins. Chaney's a guy who's taken a big step up, so I'm excited for that. And I think there were plays last year where athletically he was in the right spot and he just didn't finish the play. In the LSU game, for example, he had 7 tackles, had a tackle for a loss, and I think he was in the position in the backfield to make a couple more big stops, and he just didn't wrap up. Another year getting bigger, more physical, a little faster. I won't be so quick to write off Jake Chaney this year. And I think a lot of Badger fans have. A lot of Badger fans have said, oh, we got Thomas and we got Tackett in. Obviously Allegro and all these other guys. I don't think Chaney gets lost in that mix. And I'm excited to see what he looks like with another year of development, another year of reps, another year in this defense. I'm very excited for that. Number 6, I have Jack Nelson. Again, this is, to me, similar to the Chaney thing. Nelson, he had a few struggles early in the season. Obviously, you go back to that Washington State game. And if you're a left tackle, man, you're always going to get put on an island. And if you miss something, it looks bad. But I thought Nelson progressively got better as the year went on. He actually finished 16th in the Big Ten per Pro Football Focus in pass blocking grade. And I don't think people are giving him enough credit. Again, this is a player, we talk a lot about systems, right? This is a system that dramatically changed what the offensive line had to do last year. Going from the Chris Jim Leonard era offenses to what Longo and Coach Fickle were putting in. That's a huge change. And I think we saw struggles from the offensive line early. I think Nelson got better, and I think another year he is coming back to put that NFL film on. He's still nasty. He's still big. He still has a lot of the requisite athletic tools you want from a tackle. He's maybe not elite from the quickness standpoint, but I think it could be a really good year for Jack Nelson. I think he came back for a reason. I'm excited for Nelson in that role. And at number 7, I have Austin Brown. Austin Brown, if you remember, was a really nice recruit in the Christ era. And, he's a guy who's big, physical. Started last year against LSU. I had 6 tackles, 7 tackles in the LSU game, 7 solo tackles in the LSU game. So you can tell they were starting to work him in. And now we're hearing about him playing in the slot. I think he's a guy that gives you a level of physicality against maybe bigger receivers, tight ends. I really like the film from high school, and I think he's just continued to progress. So I have Austin Brown at number 7. So that's my top 7 players that I'm excited about breaking out this year. It's Trech, Chez, Forkern, Quincy Burrows, Jake Chaney, Jack Nelson, Austin Brown. In the chat here, we got, let's see, a couple other ones. Pavel says Nelson All-American. I honestly, probably not, right? Because you have to build hype going to the, part of All-American awards and end of season awards are the hype you have going into the season. And I don't think the Badgers did a lot to generate hype last year for them to be on early season watch lists. But I think he could have a borderline All-American season. I'm actually really high on Jack Nelson coming into this year. Easton Park says Tywee Walker going to be so much fun to watch. Yeah, I can't wait. We talked to an Oklahoma insider. I put that out on Twitter. And the Oklahoma insider said, you guys are going to love Tywee. He was a fan favorite in Norman. You guys are really, really going to like him. Another comment here, RJ Delancey. And let's see, there was one more up here somewhere that I missed. Steve Mitchell said Fork got a lot of love in today's practice report. I love that dude. I think Fork's going to make this cornerback room better. And Tyler Strieber says Ashcraft is going to take a step too. Yeah, Ashcraft was a guy who came in last year, played right away. I've said it a couple times. I think he would have benefited from a redshirt year, but because the tight end depth wasn't very strong, they had to bring in a guy to kind of augment that room. But yeah, I think he could definitely take a step forward too because he's built like a redwood tree. Like that's a big physical dude, can block pretty well, good hands. I think him and the freshman is slipping my mind. Grant Steck. I think him and Grant Steck are similar in some ways, with Steck maybe probably being a tick more athletic. All right, we're going to take a quick break there. We're going to come back, talk about my three favorite comments from the show recently. I want to talk a little bit about the quarterback battle, and we're going to then do some stock up, stock down at the end of the show. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show. And a quick second, just honestly to say thank you to everybody tuning in. As always, y'all are incredible. Thank you for helping us build this incredible channel. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to maybe spice up the weekend a little bit more, have a little fun. Obviously, our college basketball's over, but the NBA playoffs are about to start. The playing games are going to be incredible. You're going to have LeBron and Steph in playoff games. FanDuel is a great place to go and make all your sports betting picks, whether it's futures, parlays, teasers, spreads, or at FanDuel.com/lockedon. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. That's $200 to use on bonus spreads. And if you win a little cheddar, take a little cheddar out and get you a Trech Kekahuna jersey. Get that sucker framed, put it up on the wall. Listen, we'll say this. If Trech goes over 40, I'll buy Justin the Kekahuna jersey myself. And I'll buy one for me too, because that's going to be win-win. If Trech is getting over 40 this year, we're going to do it. And I'm excited to see it no matter what happens. And you can earn a little extra cheddar on FanDuel for all your Badger sway. Go to FanDuel.com/lockedon. Make your moments more. Please do it responsibly. Today's episode is also brought to you, by our new friends over at Monopoly Go. And listen, I've been told I'm a bit of a competitive person at times. I once lost a friend over a board game. CJ, if you're out there, man, homie, let's reconnect at some point. But listen, you broke the rules. Like, the rules are in the game board. Follow the rules. There's no cheating. There's a reason our friendship ended, straight up. But Monopoly Go, I love it. It feeds into my competitive side. And, if you've heard of it, it's been downloaded over 150 million times. It's a great twist on Monopoly where you play not one, but hundreds of Monopoly boards in crazy locations, building up amazing cities that bring you big money. But the best part is messing with your friends. The ones that you still have, because CJ is no longer my friend. I can charge them rent on my iconic properties, just like classic Monopoly, but now I can also rob their vault. I can take care of business. I can take down their boards, and the leaderboards will show me who's on top. It feeds into that competitive side. It's not just my competitive side that loves it. You can team up with your friends and people all over the world in timed tournaments to earn huge rewards. So get in on the game and join your friends. Download Monopoly Go now free on the App Store or Google Play. Let's keep going here. Let's get a couple comments. Jason says, losing friends over shoots and ladders. No, it was not shoots and ladders. It was actually classic Monopoly. CJ wasn't charging one of the dude's rent when that dude landed on his property because he had some stupid back alley deal. Bruh, I'm still annoyed with it. Jay Broadburst says, Renfro is all about staying healthy. He was already a big piece last year. Yeah. Renfro is a good call. I could have listed him as a breakout. That is a good call. Like, I guess for Renfro, it kind of slips my mind because he just needs to stay healthy. Like, if Renfro's healthy, that dude is an absolute breakout guy. He's the linchpin to the line. He's one of, if we're going to do a show, and we probably will, he's one of the 3 or 4 keys to the season. It's like quarterback play, Renfro, defensive line. Like, Renfro has to stay healthy because A, I don't know who the backup is going to be, and B, he's a damn good offensive lineman. Right? At a spot that is desperately needed. John Probst says Bell had 38 catches last year. That's in reference to the Kekahuna going over 40. Like, it could definitely happen. And I'll be super clear. I'm not rooting against it. It could definitely happen. The one thing I would say, though, is I think Pauling is going to get 50, 60. I think CJ Brown, or CJ Green, Quincy, I think all those dudes are taking a step up. Vinny Anthony had a good day today. I think the tight ends are a year more in the system. I think the running backs are probably better in the pass catching role this year when you get to Dylan Jones, Chez Mellusi. I don't know. It feels like a lot of bodies to feed. But listen, if Trech goes out and gets 50, 60, 70, I'm all about it. That would be amazing. Bo Dragon says Lock or Van Dijk has to be the breakout. Without a quarterback breakout, they're going to get smoked all year. But I don't think so. Like Van Dijk, when I say breakout, I mean it's guys who were on the roster last year. So Van Dijk's not on that list anyway. And then Lock, I mean, the thing with Lock is, I don't know. Well, let's get into that because that's actually one of the comments I want to get to. So these are my 3 favorite comments from the previous show. And the first one is about Lock from Bruce M. He says, Lock is too small, too athletic, weak arm. I don't see it. No plays if they break down. TBD will turn it over. Just start the freshman. Speaking of Mettoyer, he's inexperienced but confident. I want to push back on this a little bit because I think this idea that Lock is too small, too athletic, weak arm, the guy's not, I'm trying to think of a comp. He's not the college version of Chad Pennington, where Pennington had like the worst arm in the NFL. Still was successful, by the way. Lock has enough arm. Like he's not 5'10". This is not Austin Cavensis we're talking about here. I think Lock is getting way too much. This is just my opinion now. And Bruce, I appreciate the comment, man. Again, we're never going to tell anyone how to fan, but I think Lock is getting way too much crap for being like he doesn't have the elite upside of like a Mabry Mettoyer or even of a Nick Evers. But he's not like this super low upside guy. Like he's over 6 foot. He has a good arm. It's just maybe not an elite arm. He can move. He can create space in the pocket. He has more upside. He's more athletic, and he's a better arm than I think a lot of the detractors are taking away from him. And I don't think going with Braden Lock means you're stuck at a 7-win ceiling. I just don't buy that because so much of playing quarterback is between the ears, right? It's more than anything. That's the biggest differentiator to playing quarterback. It's how you process, it's accuracy, it's knowing the playbook, it's reading defenses. These are all things. Talking to Braden Lock's high school coach, we had him on the show. He just raved about those components. Braden Lock gets into camp and immediately Longo loves him, right? Immediately that's the backup to Tanner Mordecai. Like you can win with that quarterback. And you can win with that type of quarterback at a high level. Now, will Braden Lock continue evolving? Because he needs to, right? The version we saw last year wasn't good enough, but I think it's there. I think he can be plenty good enough for this team to win 7, 8, 9 games, 10 games. Because we've seen it with other college quarterbacks. You don't have to be the uber athlete. And by the way, Nick Evers was in camp. He's all those things. He's big, he's athletic, he has a strong arm. And he couldn't climb the depth chart because he lacked some of the between the ears understanding of the offense that Braden Lock has. So I would just push back on this comment. I kind of disagree with it, but I do appreciate it. I appreciate the sentiment. Next comment here that I thought was fun. This is from Mark F. He said, Fiddler's delay is not necessarily a bad thing. I think the fact that he was going to announce on Omaha radio station he was going to pick Creighton. He's supposedly big into family, wants to stay, but now he's at least reconsidering something. So I want to take that first part. Fiddler's delay is not necessarily a bad thing. Talking about Frankie Fiddler, the basketball transfer, I think here's where it's potentially a real bad thing for Wisconsin. If they end up getting him, it's fine. But if they don't get him and they don't have someone else in the bullpen, this could be a disaster for Wisconsin because they put a lot of eggs in this basket, and this roster desperately needs a type of player like him, right? Who can slot right into the 3 or the 4, who can provide immediate scoring. You got to replace Storr and Wall. That's a lot of scoring. That's 60 minutes a game, right? Where this could be a real bad thing, Frankie Fiddler delaying, or it could be a really bad thing is if it delays, he delays, and then ultimately he goes to Michigan State, or he goes to Creighton, or he goes to Omaha, or he goes to who the heck even knows, right, with the portal. Like, it's crazy. If that happens and Greg Gard can't immediately pivot to someone else, that's a disaster for Wisconsin, I think. So that's where it could be a problem. Now, in terms of the reason for the delay, I think there is an argument you can be made that the longer it goes on, kind of the better it is for Wisconsin because the personal connection to Hepburn is going to continue to be there, where the personal connections to other schools aren't quite as tight. We're going to take a quick break, come back with some stock up, stock down in spring camp. And TJ Bowler enters the portal. Let's talk a little bit about that 2021 class. What the heck happened? That was ranked 16th in the country. What did the Badgers actually get out of that? We're going to talk about that next on Locked On Badgers. But first, a quick break for our friends of the show over at LinkedIn. Again, LinkedIn, bringing in people. That's what we talk about on the show all the time. Find the right people for your team, the right quarterback, the right coach, whatever it is. LinkedIn does that on the professional side. It will help you find the perfect fit for your team, your squad. They're amazing. I use it personally. I've made personal connections, professional connections on there. My company uses it to recruit, to announce news. There's a reason they're the number one professional site or professional networking site in North America. It's because they have attract the best people, the most bodies. They have jobs, they have features, they have screening tools, right? If you don't want Joe Baloney coming through the door interviewing for your high profile job, put some screening tools in place. He'll never get through the door. Meanwhile, the perfect candidate, the 5-star accountant or dentist or whatever it is you're looking for will come through that door because of LinkedIn. There's a reason small businesses continue to rate LinkedIn the number one hiring platform among leading competitors. Right now, LinkedIn will help you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster and for free. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. That's linkedin.com/lockedoncollege. Post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply. LinkedIn.com. LinkedIn.com. It is the number one spot for all your hiring preferences. All right, let's keep going here. Let's go over under. Or not over under. I apologize. I apologize for my voice. I'm getting over a little bit of a cold, but this is like JJ Watt on this show. We're not missing any reps. All right, let's talk TJ Bowlers. Bowlers, really quick. One of my biggest positions of concern this year is the portal, or is the defensive line spot, and being able to either fill it with the portal or lose guys to the portal. TJ Bowlers, who is an outside linebacker edge guy in the 21 class, hasn't really played a lot, put on a lot of weight, was going to be a defensive lineman this year. And it's not even that I was super excited in the sense of I thought he was going to come in and dominate for the Badgers in the front seven, but I thought he could provide depth. I think depth is an issue there. Bowlers announced he's going to the portal. Probably not a huge surprise. Let's look back to that 21 class, right? Bowlers, that 2021 class, that much heralded Badgers recruiting class that finished 16th in the country. Bowlers is a part of that, 4-star player. Here's the top, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 11 players in that vaunted 21 class. Nolan Rucci, gone. JP Benswell still on the roster. Riley Mullins a starter. Hunter Woller's a stud. Braylon Allen to the NFL. Pretty good so far. And then you look at Marcus Allen gone. Ratzlaff gone. Gerald Peterson's still here, but Jack Pugh's gone. Brian Sanborn's gone. Deacon Hill's gone. That 2021 class, very mixed results, to say the least. A couple studs out of it for sure. A whole lot of players in that top dozen or so that are no longer even on the roster, never made an impact. So, yeah, it was unfortunate. I remember that class talking about how big of a deal it was, Wisconsin potentially turning the recruiting corner. And then you look back a couple years and you realize they really didn't get as much out of that class as you would have hoped. And Bowlers was a big part of that. Certainly we'll wish him well. Everybody who comes to Wisconsin, and as long as they don't leave and trash the program or break laws, like I root for everybody. So I hope he goes, finds the right fit. I'll definitely be cheering along because he's a Badger. I firmly believe in that once a Badger, always a Badger mentality. All right, let's get a couple comments here. Yep, 715 Badger talking about TJ transferring. He's wondering kind of, is someone stepping up? I think defensive line is a potential issue this year. Elijah Hills, we have heard some good things. I think Jamel Howard has to have a big year this season. Him stepping up would be huge for the interior of the defensive line. But I don't know, like that's a spot that needs help. Now, I do think, and we've talked about this before, I think the linebackers on the edges are going to help alleviate some of the pressure on the defensive line. But I would love for them to go get a fit out of the transfer portal, right? You don't need to go find a star on the defensive line. If you can go find somebody who can play 20 snaps a game, who is coming from a lower level, or maybe somebody who's transferring out of somewhere, I think that would be great for the Badgers if you could bolster the depth up a little bit there. I want to talk a little bit about one stock-up position group this spring. To me, that's linebackers. We've heard incredible things about Pius. We've heard incredible things about Lowry. Chaney has revamped his body a little bit this offseason. Daryl Peterson has gotten some rave reviews. Christian Allegro. We've heard Thomas Heiberger in practice doing some disruptive things with his length. To me, linebacker is a big stock up this spring based on what we've heard, based on the impressive early results from the transfers. People really seem to be high on both the outside linebackers coming in. Tackett is still working his way back. I think that room's going to be a stud. I mean, that room's going to be incredibly good. And to go from where we were last year to where we are this year, think back to some of the most irritating issues we had on defense last year. Getting beaten to the edge consistently in the rushing game. Dealing with mobile quarterbacks, right? all that stuff, that the athleticism at linebacker is going to really help clean that up. So I think stock up on the linebacker group. Let me pull a few more comments here, and then we'll kind of wrap it up. 715 Badger says, any chatter on Whit? Yeah, like it sounds like there's a couple podcasts that have talked about Whit. Sounds like Coach Mitchell talking about him a little bit, his ability in the run game to be incredibly physical at the edge. He is a guy who has a unique level of size and physicality, Aaron Whit. And I think you're looking at a premium edge setter right now, a guy who on first, second down, in goal line situations, short yardage situations is going to bring a great ability to neutralize tight ends, to create some push at the line of scrimmage. It also sounds like there's rust, which is understandable. The dude hasn't played in a couple years, but at the very least, it's going to be a really good depth piece, and it just adds to the depth at that linebacker position. Again, I went stock up there. I think there's a lot of talent there, and guys like Chaney and Peterson shouldn't be written off either. So it is a really deep, talented, athletic position, probably one of the deeper positions on the team if I go out and rank them. So yeah, I think Whit is somebody to watch this year. I don't know how much he's going to play, but I think he's going to be impactful against the run for sure. And that's something the coaches have talked about. Dennis Reynolds, Bowler was a tweener, was getting second and third team reps. Yep, he was a tweener. He reminds me of, oh, dude, who was that? Who was that safety we got that we could never figure out if he was a safety or a linebacker? He was a 4-star kid, came in Paul Chris first class, transferred out after like 3 years after he never, oh my goodness. Somebody in the chat will let me know. But Bowler's just kind of like that, right? You get this really talented guy in, but you just can't find the right spot for him. And because you can never find the right spot for him, it feels like the career is wasted as he vacillates between one position to the other. Balls 56 says Curtis Neal was a monster in the bowl game. Yeah, Curtis Neal had that incredible short yardage stop against LSU. If Curtis Neal can play to a consistent level this year, and you get a jump from Jamel Howard, a couple of the freshmen can play in Johnson and Willer. JTT takes another step. But again, there's so many ifs with the defense line. That's the problem. You keep saying if Curtis Neal can do this, and if Jamel Howard's ready, and if the freshman can play. It would be nice if there was a guy on the defense line you could point to and say, okay, all these ifs need to happen, but that dude's an all-conference performer, and we can anchor our defense line around him. And right now, that's what the Badgers are missing on the defense line. Listen, James Thompson is a really solid, stout upperclassman who's really good. But I don't think if you go and look at the all-conference teams, like I don't think he's going to be on those lists, because it's no knock. I just think we are lacking an anchor there that we know for sure we can build around. And at the end of the year, maybe that will be James Thompson, and nothing would make me happier. Or maybe it will be Jamel Howard. But there's a lot of ifs. When we start talking about the defensive line, there are a lot of things where we say, if this happens and if that happens, and generally all your ifs don't happen, right? Because it's football, because injuries happen, because not everybody develops at the same pace, because people leave, because someone's not going to take the coaching, because someone's not quite ready, because someone needs another year, because this isn't a great scheme fit, because someone can't put on weight. Whatever it is, generally all the ifs don't hit. And it feels like on the defensive line this year, you need a lot of the ifs to hit. Maybe it'll happen, which if it does, there's an if too. If it does, this defense could be really good, actually, because if the defense line can be better than we think it could be, you pair that with the linebackers, and I think the corners are going to be really solid this year. And then you have Hunter Wohler anchoring the back. That unit could play, but I think it hinges on the defense line. Anyway, on Wisconsin, I apologize for getting this show out late. I do appreciate everybody's patience. I was driving last night. I didn't get home till like 1:30, and I just did not have a show in me. So thank you for the patience on Wisconsin. Appreciate y'all so much, and let's go.